So with the Six of Cups, we could definitely be talking about, you know, somebody from the past here who is wanting to come back through here. But I also think that this is very much for you moving away and no longer holding on to, you know, these feelings, right? It was good in its time. That's what I want to say. When you were together, it was good, but now it's time to move on, because clearly, you know, this person has to be honest with you that they may have feelings that they don't understand, and it may have to do with other people. But the thing is that you're aware of this. What you're not aware of is, you know, what their intentions are. So you coming into this with the Six of Pentacles, I mean, obviously we're talking about equal give and take here. But I think that you may have been like giving more than what you had. You know, I think that in terms of like, let's say financially, you may have been like giving a lot to this person, but they're constantly in a place of like trying to figure things out, so they can't really give back to you, right? Like, so you're doing things for them, but they're not really returning that. Now, obviously with the Two of Pentacles, though, we're talking about somebody who's got a couple of different things going on, and that may be why you're not getting anything in return here. But I think that there is a part of you that is still open emotionally to give to them, you know. But as far as like tangible results, I don't know that you really, you know, are receiving anything back. Now, obviously moving into the Three of Cups with the Seven of Swords, this is where I think that there's other influences here. And I don't think that you want to be, you know, their third party. But the thing is I think that this is kind of like being addressed because it's a past situation coming back up. Now, with their Seven of Swords, the thing is I don't think that they want to discuss it with you because they don't understand what they really want to do. But the thing is what you're seeing is this Ace of Wands, that there is, you know, an opportunity for passion to be restored between the two of you, where we can start this again. But with the Moon, they're not clear. They are not clear on what they want. They don't know how they feel. They don't know what they intend to do, either which way. They're in this place of, you know, having a couple of different situations going on. But I have to wonder if it wasn't like past emotions that came up for them. But like I said, for you though, this is you needing to move on from this now, right? It was good in its time. It's time to move away. And I think that that's what you're trying to do with the Six of Swords. Because with the World, yeah, we are talking about this chapter coming to a close, right? But this is so that the both of you can be successful with moving on from this. And I think that the more that, you know, this person communicates to you the truth about, you know, what's going on with them and how they feel, I think the easier it will be for you to say, okay, it's time now. It's time now for me to let go of this and move away. You know, it's interesting because I think that this could go either way. Your relationship may change where there's an understanding between the two of you, but you may actually get past this in a way where you could lead to a happy situation here. This is interesting because I immediately had the feeling of, okay, so we're getting closure on this. Libra is moving on, and this person is at least being honest. But that honesty, though, looking at the Ace of Swords, again, it's a new beginning. It may be creating a new beginning. But the thing is I'm still looking at somebody who has been managing two very different things. The way that they feel about you and what they are currently like investing their time and effort into, you know. But it's like, they don't want to let you go. They don't want to let you go. I don't think that they're giving you enough to keep you around. I think that this is, you know, you have been the one that's continuously giving and you're not receiving anything from them. Now, as far as the way that this comes out though, the other way that, you know, we could look at this here is that you're getting closure on these issues and there is a new beginning in truth and trust, but it's going to require you to move on from the conflict, right? Regardless of the fact that you have a very strong want and a passion for this person, this relationship. The Queen of Pentacles and looking at the Chariot, I think that for you, what's hard is being in a place where you're not codependent. You know, this is about feeling secure with yourself, right? And not having not needing constant validation from this person. That's what I want to say. But I think that in terms of like truth and honesty with the Chariot here, I do think that, you know, they want to move things in the right direction with you. But I think that this is also, especially with the moon being there, them really, you know, being straightforward about the fact that they've been in two very different places, head and heart, and they're needing to kind of, you know, steer the middle ground, so to speak, with the Chariot here. But this is in order to get momentum going again. Now, we could also be talking about somebody who is at a distance from you, and that may be why, you know, it's hard to, you know, do this relationship for you, where there are things that you have to move on from and be secure with yourself. Now, with the Hangman here and looking at the Hierophant, this is, you know, where we've been kind of like waiting around. And here it's like they're showing you that, you know, they want to have a commitment. But the thing is the perspective hasn't quite changed yet. And I think that either you are waiting for them to change their perspective, or you're being put on hold by them, but they want to keep you there because they don't want you to move on completely from them, if that makes sense. But then you move into the Two of Cups with the Ten of Cups. We're talking about somebody who needs to, you know, get control over themselves, start picking up momentum toward, you know, settling down here into the happily ever after, right? What they're wanting is long-term emotional fulfillment and happiness. But that's exactly what you want, though, too. So do you come to an understanding? Is this a successful closure of this chapter? You know, do you restart this relationship? You know, but how difficult is it going to be for you to move on from certain things, though, with the Six of Swords, right? All right. So feelings are being stirred up here for someone in particular who I think is either not happy in a situation, or it's you. Okay, so with the Queen of Wands, we're talking about someone who isn't like fully revealing all of themselves, right? They're not giving all of themselves to a relationship. I kind of look at her as the type of person that, you know, is open to other possibilities in terms of love. But because of the Ten of Cups being there, that would be the indicator as to why this person is not fully revealing themselves, or not fully committing, or not being fully a part of this. They may be in another situation where they are not happy. With the Ten of Cups, this is someone who is oblivious to the fact that their partner is, you know, stepping out. You know, like everything is great for them, but the other person's like, no, not really. Not really. But you're not getting the best of a person, or this is you, Libra. You may be looking at yourself as single. But what's really going on here is somebody is stepping out on a relationship, straight up. Now, with the Page of Swords and the Two of Wands, the thing is I don't think that this would be happening if there wasn't somebody who is interjecting themselves. The Page of Swords is always going to be about somebody who's like literally up your ass, constantly interjecting themselves into your life. Like, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. And you are. With the Two of Wands, you are. There's the conversation that is happening. There's the flirting that is going on. But this straight up is not a good situation. Now, for those of you who are single, the thing is you know this. You may be, you know, messing around with a married person, or you may be, unfortunately, getting involved in that kind of a situation, right? But this is a love that is, you know, being stirred up here. It's just the circumstances aren't great. Now, believe me, there is no judgment here, because shit happens. I've always said that when it comes to love. Shit happens, and it happens for a reason. But what I don't like is if you're dealing with a person who clearly is not happy, then they need to do something about it. But instead, what's happening is that there may be, you know, jealousy going on here. And for you, it may be that you don't feel so good about the fact that you're not the only one sleeping with this person. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you really want to get down to it here, because the Tower is deception, it's cheating, it's jealousy. The Three of Swords, it's the same thing, but it clearly indicates somebody who needs to leave a bad situation. But it's not happening, and it's creating more difficulty, you know? And I look back at the Page of Swords and think, who the hell are you getting involved with here? And then the Four of Pentacles, they don't want the passion to die. They're working hard to keep the passion going. They don't want to let this go, definitely. So, and here's what gets me, because I'm looking at this situation here. Clearly somebody is in a situation where they are not happy. They cannot give all of themselves to you, you to them. And it is very difficult here for somebody to express the way that they feel. When you look at the Page of Cups, this is somebody, it's like, you know, if I could just spit it out and tell them how I feel, maybe that would change the situation. You know, but the thing is the way that they're showing themselves is the Page of Swords. They're constantly there. They're constantly wanting your attention. But what you're not seeing is how deep the emotions actually run. But they also understand that they need to make sure things are fair and balanced, very specifically with you. Now, we could flip the script on this, and like I said, Libra, you may be the one who's in a relationship, but your feelings are being stirred for somebody here. But I still think that the Page of Swords is not you. I think that's this person. But clearly you're entertaining the Page of Swords here. The both of you are getting to know each other, but there may be a discussion on how do we make this situation right. But it's not really happening. And as long as it continues not to happen, you know, there's going to be the question of, you know, the situation for what it is, right? And that's not really fair. That's not really balanced. We really shouldn't be doing this, right? And then there's this constant feeling of like, you know, you belong to me. Why are you still in this situation? That's what I want to say. But with the Four of Pentacles here, we're still hanging in there, allowing this person to keep the passion going. This is fanning, my God, if I could talk right, fanning the flames of passion. And then you have the Two of Pentacles, all right? So I think that there is a question of whether or not your partner is still interested in you or you them. So the way that you come into this with the Eight of Swords and the King of Pentacles, this is somebody who makes you feel uncomfortable. I mean, there's no other way to put that. You're talking about somebody who is a little bit, you know, dominant, right? A little bit pushy. They want things the way that they want them. But for you, you're not comfortable with that, because I think that there is a question of whether or not somebody is looking in on an ex or is completely over another situation. And with the Ten of Pentacles, you're talking about self-reflection. Is this really who you want to be? Do you really want to be in this type of relationship where you may full well know that your partner is still looking in on someone else's relationship, right? Now, the thing is with the Three of Wands, you still have a lot of feelings for each other, and that's the thing. But it needs to be rekindled. The problem, I think, is with the Two of Pentacles is this is somebody who is afraid to approach another person. You know, and as long as that continues, then I think that there's going to be this question of, you know, do I really want to be involved with this person? Is this really the type of relationship I want to get involved with? You know, I don't like the Five of Wands. And the thing is I don't think that they want you to be okay with the fact that, you know, they still are focused on their ex in a very different way, where it's like, yeah, man, it's almost like, how do I put this? You're getting involved with somebody who is still very much friends with their ex, like keeps them on Facebook and shit like that. All right. Things are continuously like building between the two of you. And I think that Temperance is also indicating that this is not something that you just want to abruptly end. Okay. But with the Four of Swords, we're talking about, you know, forcing yourself to feel something that you don't. And I think that you may be getting to that point where you can't force yourself to be okay with certain things. You know, and this may be one of those things where it's hard to talk to your partner about this. Like, hey, you know, like every time you talk about it, there may be miscommunication. Or, you know, they just don't want to talk about it. It just is what it is for them right now, and they just need you to understand. But you're not comfortable with that. And again, with the Five of Wands, you know, like I said, it's like they're still watching what's going on with someone else, right? Peeking in on the relationship. Is this really what you want to do? But with Temperance, I would say, yeah, because things are still building. And this isn't, I don't want to end this. I want to wait a minute. And then there's an apology coming through, which is great. So I think that this person is starting to recognize that your emotions have been hurt because of this. And I think that that's where the Three of Wands is coming in. You both still feel a lot for each other, and you feel the same way. It's just that this is not something that you want to approach. I think that this is the other person who's going to be approaching this because of the way that you're responding to it emotionally. Like, I see how this is making you feel. I am so sorry.